Okay, so detail out for me and for the Canadians and everyone who's listening what you think exactly, what the hell is Trump up to? I mean, he's put a knot in Canadians' tail, and the upside of that is that for the first time, certainly in the Trudeau era, even the Liberals are pretending that they're patriots and that Canada has a self-evident reason for existing, which is something that Trudeau has formally denied for the whole bulk of his political career, that we were a post-national state with no real identity, that our strength was our diversity, that leg one, where we had some advantage, was also an untenable basis for movement into the future, that we're going to enter into a green economy that was going to magically make us rich. And one of the things you're pointing out is, good, there is a virtualized economy, but we don't own any of it. And, when I looked at Carney's book recently, Values, and he talks about this magical economy, which I suppose, at least in part, is a knowledge economy that's somehow going to emerge if we leave 80% of our fossil fuels in the ground. But you might say that it's a little short on detailed plan. So, okay, so what's Trump exactly? What do you think Trump is up to?
I'm trying to spend most of my time with you today characterizing what's going on. I've only said one normative thing to date, so far in this, which was my belief in capitalism, in a liberal democracy, as the best way for human flourishing. And I'm going to give you what I plan to be only the second normative thing that I plan to say today, that I think that Trump's behavior is unpresidential, it's unprovoked, it's unkind, it's almost certainly illegal, though hard to enforce.
Which matters.
But in the characterization, I'm also going to say that I think he miscalculated, and it's actually been unwise and is counterproductive to America's interests, and actually in Canada's interests if we seize it. So I think this is a fascinating moment, and to sort of, for Canada, to quote the famous Yogi Berra, when you reach a fork in the road, you got to take it.
Right.
And so Trump sees Mexico as just a commodified labor to lowest cost for blue collar. Canada's to commodified labor at white collar workers, and it's all got to be subsidized. And so I actually think the appeasement, there's a little bit of benefit in appeasement and diplomacy, because you inform the U.S. that he may have to dial a few things back a little bit because it's counter to Americans' interests, not because he's compassionate to Canada economically or socially or security-wise, but I think he's said what he is. He believes that they are the empire, that you must pay a tax for the privilege of participating with the empire, interrelated with the empire. He wants to rename the Internal Revenue Service the External Revenue Service, and that people's taxes domestically can go down in the U.S. and that it's paid for through tariffs. And in economics, in prosperity, in a global system, the number one objective is to improve your terms of trade. And terms of trade is really simple, that it's the ratio of the price of what you sell to what you buy. And if you get a better price for what you sell, your terms of trade go up. If you pay more for something that you buy, your terms of trade go down. And that's the whole game, is terms of trade. And we thought that it was about comparative advantage, get out of the way. And America realized that it's about inserting the rent stuff where you get really high rents, which means that drives up your GDP per capita through higher terms of trade. And so their thinking is that I'm going to make you pay to come in here. That's going to enhance the prices we get. And we believe that's going to deflate your currency because it makes you, and a deflation of a currency is like a pay decrease,
because it buys less,
and you sell it for less too.
Right.
So that worsens your terms of trade, which benefits America's terms of trade. So they're trying to shift the structure of the global economic system, where they become effectively aristocratic, and everyone else is some lower economic status entity, and that is an economic logic being played out to Mexico and Canada. The tricky part is there's not a lot more blood to get out of the stone that is Mexico. I think there is a legitimate a security thing that they're paying attention to.
With regards to the border?
Yeah, and there's probably a couple little strategic things they want in the economy, access to the oil system and owning it and so on. But there's a lot of blood to get from the Canadian prosperity because we're a relatively prosperous and rich country, eroding as we are. There's a lot of gems in there to get. So I think his objective, if you weaken it enough, you go in for the gems and you hold it in a subordinate position.
Okay, now
because that's the economic logic that is at play here. So
it's a dominance logic fundamentally.
Yeah, it's an economic and security dominance logic.
Okay, now, but you pointed out that it may well have a paradoxical effect. So let's go into that. I mean, one of the things I've noticed, because I'm very ambivalent about Trump's maneuvers, because, well, he is a bull in the China shop.
I'm angry about
it. Yeah.
I'm angry about them.
Yeah, right.
I wake up angry on it because I feel it's wrong at so many levels. So that's my second normative thing. I'll shed it. Now, you be a clinical psychologist, make me feel a little better. And I'm bothered by it. And I think it's going to hurt 1 in 4 people. What about the 1 in 4 people that have food insecurity? Like, for goodness sakes, people need food and a home. And now, really, and you're going to erode the whole system, hurt Canada comparatively more, still hurt America, and vulnerable people are going to pay the largest price. Because what? Because that's how the aristocracy works, and let them eat cake. And as a proud Canadian and somebody that believes in, my dad was an electrician. I mean, these structures, I wouldn't have gone to school. I wouldn't have had this. Yeah, it violates all sense of fairness for me. So that part of it is not cool by me. But we'll go into the misplayed hand by Trump.
I would like to know partly, for example, why you are a proud Canadian, why you've stayed here because you didn't have to, and why you think this country is worth fighting for. And then I also want to know what you think about the fact that Trump tromping around has actually seemed to wake Canadians up a bit to help them understand once again that they do in fact have a country, that it might be worth preserving, that we should pay attention not only to the resource economy, which we've done everything to scuttle, but that we should maybe wake up with regard to, these more sophisticated issues that you've been bringing to light. Okay, so let's start with your feelings about Canada. I mean,
it's a beautiful country. How can you not love the country? I mean, just because I love it doesn't mean I always like it.
Yeah.
And those
but you have chosen to stay here to keep your operations here.
Yeah, and I've doubled down, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is my team. This is my country. This is my home. Your job, it's given me so much. And as you said, your obligation is to carry the load you think you can handle. Yeah. So you carry the load that you think is yours, that you can bring to bear. And there's beautiful people who volunteer at food banks, who do many wonderful things in this country, healthcare workers who care for vulnerable, and on it goes. And so I think...
and you've poured your efforts into developing the tech economy in the Waterloo area. And my brother-in-law, who's like a tech maven, he thinks that the engineer graduates from this institute in particular are like world top rate. And so I mean, you've put your money where your mouth is. And
it's very rewarding. It's very meaningful. It's a shame to see it suboptimized, but do you let the bullies and the elite failure of the last 30 years prevail when there are so many good people who are trying to advocate for a better country and a better future? And if I can provide some resources and air cover for them, as opposed to abandoning them, morally, what do you think is the right thing to do?